Our camp countdown series continues today, just 3 days away as the Seahawks try to go to their third straight Super Bowl. We're here with the great professor, Nate Burleson. As you can see, he spent some time in Seattle from 06 to 09. And by the way, he's a Seattle native, so I'd say this guy knows this city pretty well.
Man, look at that film. Is that guy a free agent?
Well, look at those glasses. That's more what I'm concerned with right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You look great, as always.
Look good?
Yeah, they always look good. All right, you know this team inside and out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pete Carroll and Schneider have put together a winning formula.
For sure.
There, but every team, every organization has weaknesses. What are the weaknesses right now going into camp for the Seahawks?
There isn't many, but I think one of their weaknesses that they have to focus on is their inability to utilize every player every game. What we saw last year, guys would disappear for periods of time, and they would reemerge games later and make plays, like a Luke Wilson at the tight end position who would make plays, Chris Matthews, guys you don't hear about for a long time, and then they would come in and make plays. What makes great teams great and consistent is that all of their weapons will continue to make plays every single game, like Robert Turbin. You have to combine him with the talents of Marshawn Lynch. They have talent. I think they have some of the best depth in the NFL, but they got to learn to utilize every player every game. You can't afford to have guys disappear for weeks at a time.
It's interesting, though, the point you bring up. The Patriots do this, and they tend to, like, mix and match sometimes. Perhaps the Seahawks are trying to match that formula that the Patriots had over the years. All right, they're obviously a run-heavy team, and in terms of percentage of total offense, no team is throwing the ball less than the Seahawks, which is really interesting. But they have Jimmy Graham now.
Yeah.
They've never had a weapon like Jimmy Graham since Russell Wilson has been in town. How does he change the way that this offense is going to have a different identity, perhaps?
He changes it a lot, but what concerns me is that, like you said, they do have a winning formula. They've been to the Super Bowl twice. And their leading receiver at the tight end position was Luke Wilson last year with 22 catches. So what do? Do you change the whole game plan around and try to feed him the ball more, which really changes the complexion of this offense? Or do you force the ball to everybody in the offense and keep it the way it is, a very consistent, even balanced offense? My personal opinion, with a guy like Jimmy Graham, you have to change what you've been doing the last couple of years, even if it makes Russell Wilson change the way he plays the quarterback position, because all in all, it's going to make everybody better. Marshawn Lynch is going to be more open. These guys that are on the outside and inside running routes at receiver position and tight end position are all going to benefit Jimmy Graham getting more targets.
How do you defend that goal line situation? You certainly have to incorporate him more to the offense than, say, Luke Wilson has been in the past. Throwing out those nuggets, just 22 catches for Luke Wilson last year.
Got to feed more tight ends.
Well, I hope you're paying attention to the defense, too, because obviously on the defensive side of the ball, there have been some losses. Dan Quinn, the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, he was the defensive coordinator there. They lose linebacker coach Ken Norton Jr., who goes to the Raiders as defensive coordinator. And Byron Maxwell just got paid.
Yeah.
He was there in the Legion of Boom, perhaps the lesser-known member of the Legion of Boom, but he got big money thanks to his play last season. And former Super Bowl MVP Malcolm Smith, not there either. Do you think that this defense is going to regress this year? I
would defiantly say no, not at all. They won't regress. You know, the linebacker is a great position for this team. It's kind of the anchor, even though they have a lot of talent surrounding that position. Ken Norton was a big loss. They got Mike Barrow, and then they also brought in another player who played there, Lofa Tatupu, who's one of the forgotten players in Seahawks history, but one of the more dominant linebackers who ever put on a Seahawks jersey. But they still got Michael Bennett. They still got Cliff Averill. They still have Bruce Irvin. They still got Wagner holding down the fort at the linebacker position. And then the trio of players in the back end, where you got Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and, of course, Richard Sherman. So with those guys, the core group, and the blueprint already being there. So it really doesn't matter who's coaching these individuals. It's the blueprint that's already been in place in this program. So the defense will not regress. They still will be just as dominant that they have been for the last couple of years.
As you run through that whole defense and you think about the different levels and the big players they have on each level of that defense, yeah, it's still very, very stout. I don't think they have anything to worry about.
Very hard to beat,
right
period.
now.